In the last class, we talked about what Mandarin is and the difference between Mandarin and Chinese. Well, you can't talk about Chinese without talking about Chinese characters. So in this lesson, you will learn all the basics of Chinese characters. Chinese characters are the symbols used to write Chinese. In China, they are called Hanzi, which means Han characters. They look like this. Very different from languages like English that use letters, right? The origin of Hanzi dates back at least 3,000 years. Our ancestors engraved characters on turtle plastrons and animal bones, so these characters are called oracle bone scripts. Many of them were pictographs, simple pictures or pictographic signs used to represent objects or ideas. Look at this character, Mu, and guess what it means. A person or a tree? Yes, you are right. It means a tree. But as time went by, this character gradually changed and finally became the one we use today. In modern Chinese, there are not many pure pictographs, but those that remain are very important, not only because they are common words, but also because they serve as the building blocks of many other characters. For example, this character, Sen, you can find 3 Mu's in it. In traditional Chinese culture, 3 is considered many, so this character actually means many trees. Can you guess its meaning? Yes, it is forest. Interesting, isn't it? There are many characters like Sen, which are formed by combining simple characters to express more complex or abstract ideas. The character Mu means to take a shower. The left part, 三点水, means water, showing that the word is related to water. This is called the semantic radical. The mu on the right side has nothing to do with the meaning, but it hints at the pronunciation. Mu. Mu. It helps you remember how to pronounce the word. This is called the phonetic radical. So mu is a semantic phonetic compound. In fact, there are thousands of characters that contain mu as a component. If you know mu, it will be much easier to remember those new characters. Now, in modern Chinese, the total number of Chinese characters is more than 60,000. But wait, don't worry. The average literacy level of a Chinese college student is only about 4,000 to 5,000 characters, and only around 3,500 are commonly used. Some characters are words on their own, while others need to be combined to form words like 沐浴, which has 2 characters. Anyway, 3,500 characters will let you understand 99.78% of written Chinese. In fact, if you know about 2,000 characters, you should already be able to read a local newspaper. Exciting, right? And besides, over 90% of Chinese characters are semantic phonetic compounds, which means they give clues to both meaning and pronunciation. So learning Chinese characters is really not that difficult. And you know what? Chinese characters as a whole form a very logical, consistent system. This is also true for Chinese vocabulary. You can often clearly see the logic behind the words. For example, 肉 is an umbrella term for meat. Now look at these words. 猪猪肉 羊羊肉 鸡鸡肉 We basically just add 肉 to an animal, and the new word means the meat of the animal. So if I tell you that cattle is 牛, can you guess what beef is? 牛肉. Great job! You've already learned some words in this introduction video. You may have seen traditional Chinese paintings or calligraphy works like these. Very beautiful, right? The characters in those works are traditional Chinese characters. But in this channel, we will focus on simplified Chinese characters. So, what's the difference? Traditional Chinese characters were once the standard writing system across all Chinese-speaking regions. But over time, some characters became simpler and simpler. In the 1950s and 60s, the Chinese government formally introduced the simplified characters to improve literacy. Some characters like mu are already very simple, so they remain the same in both traditional and simplified systems. But others were simplified by reducing certain radicals or components. For example, the left side of these characters is 言字旁. In simplified Chinese, it was shortened like this, so the words were simplified accordingly. Besides simplifying individual characters, simplified Chinese also merges some traditional characters with the same pronunciation into a single form. As a result, simplified Chinese has fewer total characters. Because of this, traditional characters often preserve meanings more clearly. For example, in traditional Chinese, 爱, which contains the heart component. In simplified Chinese, it's 爱, no heart inside anymore. So if you are passionate about Chinese history and culture, you might feel that traditional characters are more authentic and meaningful. But in terms of difficulty, simplified Chinese is easier. With fewer strokes, they are generally simpler to learn and write, which is especially helpful for beginners. Today, simplified Chinese is officially used in mainland China and Singapore, and often by Chinese communities in Malaysia. Traditional Chinese is used in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau. Now, let's move to the last question: how to write Chinese characters. You may think they look like random pictures drawn freely, but actually, Chinese characters follow fixed stroke orders and specific rules. The stroke order system was designed to produce the most balanced and beautiful characters while being efficient. Please watch this clip to see how smoothly he writes. Can you imagine how tiring it would be if he wrote in a different order? Now, the basic rules of a stroke order are top to bottom, left to right, first horizontal, then vertical. It may sound difficult, but don't worry, we will practice together and it's not as hard as it seems. Okay, we've already covered a lot. Let's wrap up the lesson and recap what we've learned. In this lesson, we discussed that Chinese characters are a very logical and consistent system. There are two types, traditional and simplified, used in different regions, and Chinese characters follow fixed stroke orders and rules. However, you may have noticed that Chinese characters don't show you how to pronounce them. To read them aloud, you need to know their Pinyin. Pinyin is a system that uses phonetic symbols to spell out pronunciations. We will cover that in the next video. Bye!